there a situation that keeps repeating itself? Because oftentimes there is one belief that will show itself throughout your life in different areas. It will, on the surface, it will be like a symptom and it will look differently. But when you actually look inside, it's the same belief.
Welcome back to the Power and Purpose podcast. I am your host, Vanessa Soul. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And thank you for investing your time and your energy into tuning into today's episode. I truly appreciate it. And I'm super excited for today's guest. We have Monika, and I'm going to try to pronounce her. I was practicing earlier with her. I'm going to try to pronounce her last name. So, Monika. And I can't get it. So chime in here. Give us your full, beautiful last name.
It's Monika Niziolomski.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. I'd rather you say it. So beautiful name and super excited to have you on the show. So let me give you guys a little bit of an intro really quick about Monika. She's known as the Quantum BFF. She helps women reclaim their power, reprogram limiting beliefs, and create quantum leaps through energetics and subconscious transformation and manifestation. Monika, thank you so much for being here on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Who are you and who are you not?
I am a catalyst of change. That's basically who I am and how I like to see myself in the lives of women that I work with and help. And I'm here for the determined, the ones that want something more out of their lives that I'm not having right now. And I'm here to bring the change that I always looked for in my life and actually give people maybe not necessarily a shortcut, but a clearer path to getting what they really want. Because there is so much unfulfillment around in the world and people feeling stuck and feeling like they're doing more and more, but they're getting less and less results. So this is kind of where all my purpose sort of circulates around.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. So I'd love to chat about a little bit of your life and your journey before you became into this version of yourself today. So you were mentioning that you were feeling stuck in cycles of scarcity and people pleasing. So what did that look like? How long was that going on? For me, that was like my whole all the way up until 30. So I would love to hear about your journey. Like how long was that going on and what was the transformation?
That was basically my whole life. And I didn't actually realize this truly until my 30s, like in the mid 30s. And it took a lot of hard work. I mean, I've been doing this work I keep saying to people, I've been doing this work for 16 years, and I've been saying this a long time. So I've probably been doing this work way past 16 years. And it's just all about daily growth. And for me, it started when I've noticed it with my family, and it was so subtle. But it was the things that they would say that I would then take on as my own. Or I thought if I don't follow the certain path that they have for me, then all of a sudden they won't love me, or I won't be accepted, or I will be, cast aside, even though there was no logical reason for it. And I repeated that over and over in my relationships. I mean, I was in an on and off relationship for 9 years, and I felt like I had no personality of my own. And whatever other people thought about me, that was my self-worth. I didn't have my own. I didn't have my own compass inside of me, and it felt like I didn't exist. And it wasn't until I realized all those things and started working with other people, because I went through therapy, self-help books, everything that was available at the time. I dabbled because I thought there must be a way, there must be an easy way. And ever since I was a kid, I always thought there must be an easy way. There cannot be just struggle. There cannot be just hardship. There must be something else out there. Otherwise, why on earth are we here? And the more I did, the more I discovered, the more I saw patterns. And that's why I work with the quantum field and quantum physics, because there are so many patterns that once you kind of almost get like a recipe, then you are able to consciously recreate that. But it works both ways. So yeah, so it was literally all throughout my life. You name the area of my life and it was showing in that.
And it sounds like it was a gradual awareness, but was there any moments, any shocking experiences or any examples of life experience where you were like, this is the last straw?
Yes, and actually, loads of people say this, and I don't think death is particularly the only catalyst in people's lives when they change. There could be another, like a shocking big, an accident, or people have these things where they say, "Oh, actually, something happened, and that snapped me out." And for me, it was my brother was in a coma in hospital, and my mom at the same time was also in hospital. It was COVID times. And they were both like literally, it was just snap of the fingers, and they both went in, and it was shocking. And I was in England, and they were in Poland, and there was no flights. You just I couldn't do anything, and it was one of the worst moments, for a person that always felt like controlling things was the only thing that would keep me safe. That moment, I had no control, like no control. And that was the most unsafe I've ever felt, because not only are you looking after, your people that you love, like the core of your family is in danger, so is the rest of your life, because you're grappling, and pulling at straws. So then we lost my mom, and my brother was still in a coma, and we thought we might lose him. So that experience was so traumatic that afterwards, it was almost like before and after. And I had a few of those moments in my life, but that was a main before and after. And to the point where I questioned everything afterwards. It's almost like you wake up and you no longer know who you are. And although it felt really scary and really sad, and just all the emotions when you lose someone, there was that little hint of light, because you could create something new. And that's where all of this really was really born, where it started from, like a little seed, and then it grew and grew to where it is now. And it will continue growing.
Wow, what a transformational story. Like your loved ones were in the hospital. You ended up losing your mom as she transitioned, and then your brother, it sounds like you guys didn't know what his trajectory was going to be at that time. So that is a lot. I can't imagine what it's like to go through that. So I already know that you're a strong, resilient person. And I think that sometimes we can be initiated through family and through grief or through just really challenging times with health with our family members. And so there's no doubt that that was a transformational experience. And you also said, I think you said the word traumatized. That was traumatizing to go through that. I think any type of change, even moving, and I'm not saying moving, I'm not belittling or undermining the experience of us having loved ones who are ill or in the hospital or we're losing them. But I think just as humans, because we get caught up in routine and our ego needs routine or it requests routine pretty often, any type of change can be a little, maybe not, maybe it's not always traumatic, but depending on the severity, right? So anyway, but my question here is, I wanted to preference all of that because I would still like to know, if possible, you were going through, you were navigating those challenging times with your mom and your brother. What was the action step that got created through that time?
It was the beginning of everything, because, and I remember this moment vividly, and he may laugh because it was so small and so ridiculous. I opened my cupboard, and I saw I like to drink fruit tea, so I opened this cabinet, and there was this fruit tea, and I stopped, and in that moment I thought to myself, do I even like tea? And it was such a small thing, but it was so significant that, I mean, we are kind of like 4.5, near 5 years on. And I remember that moment. I stood there and I questioned everything. And that's what I mean. When I told you earlier, I questioned everything. I questioned my whole existence to the point of drinking tea, because that was the moment where I was like, if I get to create this, I'm going to create this exactly how I want to do it from now on. And it's almost like I drew a line in the sand between the old me and the new me. So it was quite, actually, now looking back, I feel quite privileged, because I understood that then. And it was that tea, and it was, you just think, how is this such a small thing that tips you the other way? But that literally was the it.
Yes. Okay. That's the action step. I love that. Thank you for highlighting that. That's what I really wanted to understand for myself and the listeners. And I'll preface this and say they've done studies when people are switching their tooth brand or their toothpaste brand, or they're in the store and they're switching their laundry detergent. They're no longer getting the seventh generation. Now they're looking into a different brand. When they're questioning their, and it's a level of awareness. And so scientifically, I read this article a long time ago. It stayed with me. When they measure that when people are doing that, they have a heightened level of awareness, for better or for worse. I think it's always neutral, but sometimes it can feel negative or positive. But that's also uh, it shows that they're making drastic changes in their life. They're at this pivotal moment. Again, for better or for worse. It doesn't always mean positive, it doesn't always mean negative. So I think that even though it is small for anyone listening, you're like, she was questioning the tea. Yes, she was she was raising awareness. Like, am I still committing to this? Do I want to get a different tea? Do I want to stop tea altogether? Like, that is how we make those changes. And I love quantum alignment and quantum leaps. And when I got my certification in quantum energy work, it was so fascinating. It's like it's all I did day in and day out for a period of time. um and I think the questioning and the awareness that you had with the tea, and also when we change toothpaste brands, those questions that allow us to move within the quantum field. So my question to you is, what is the quantum field? What is quantum alignment? How do you define that?
So the way I see quantum, I was never good at physics. Like at school, I hated physics, like physics, chemistry, all that. It just went over my head. I loved philosophy. I loved all the things that you really had to think about. And the older I got and kind of I started seeing the patterns, I thought, hang on a minute, there's something to it. And I dived into the quantum physics and I thought, oh my goodness, this is it. This is for me. So the way I see everything is just like everything exists in superposition. So I don't know why I always put it up there, but I put it up there at the top above my head. It's almost like in the sky. And everything exists in superposition. And everything is available to us at all times. But it's up to us whether we will follow a certain path, if you like, that will get us the results of the things that we want. And mainly what I've noticed is that a lot of people think they have free will, but the free will only circulates around the subconscious patterns that they have been created in their minds over time. So by the age of 7, I mean we're like sponges. So we see everything. We see, everyone has eyes. Just you hear things, you see things, you see your parents behave a certain way. Limitations are all of a sudden being put onto you, onto this limitless creature. So by 7, you kind of you learn to believe that you're limited and you're flawed. And then you end up going and creating a life based on those things that are not even belonging to you. You didn't consciously choose those. You just inherited that. And with the quantum, everything, there's nothing good or bad. It's just all happening, and it's all happening now. So you can't kind of look at the clock and go, oh yeah, okay, it's like 10 to 3. Well, it's 10 to 3 now. You can't, it's not 10 to 3 later. It's the only thing we have is now. So everything is actually happening right now. And I think people have a little bit of a hard time with that. And they start living in the future, but then start living in lack. So going on what quantum is just everything around us. We are separate consciousnesses that are having a human experience. And within the quantum field, every single thing is available to us. And what we get, I suppose, it's just based on the starting point in our heads and in our minds, and what can we actually believe we can have. I hope that answers your question. Sorry, it was a bit of a roundabout way, but that's how I perceive the quantum in general and the field.
So if one of our conscious parents listening to the show, if they want to explain it to their sixth grader, and not only do they want to just give like a short definition to their sixth grader, but then they also want to just give a short little bit of perspective on why the quantum field is even important, how can we communicate this to our sixth graders?
It's all about we are creating our lives, and no one else can impact our lives unless we let them. So whatever happens on the outside of us, it's out of our control. So we can't control that. I've got an 8-year-old, so I talk to him a lot. So I try to simplify this to kind of that level. And everything that other people do, they do because of their previous experiences. So it doesn't necessarily mean anything about us. It's their experience, and we experience in them. So if they're in a bad mood, that doesn't necessarily mean anything about us. It just means that in their experience, they experienced something that put them in a bad mood. And I think it's separating yourself from the meaning of things, because like we said, things are neutral. So separating yourself from the meaning of, actually, this means something about me, it doesn't actually mean anything about you. And it gives you so much more empathy and understanding to other people's experience. And when you see it like that, you all of a sudden don't take things so seriously, but also don't take them personally.
Beautiful. So now that we have a simplified version of that, of just the quantum field, quantum energy, why it's important, how it's useful, I think that was beautifully said. So then what is a quantum leap? I think I'm going to really enjoy this one. What is a quantum leap?
Well, quantum leap is something that's been really glorified, I feel. And not many people talk about the whole extent of the quantum leap. Basically, in theory, the quantum leap is just electron moving from one place to another without any kind of connection. So there is no logical, air quotes, reason why you would move from one place to another, and it just appears and it's just there, and that's it. And it's just leaps. But the way I've noticed it in my life, I mean, I quantum leapt quite a few times before I actually realized what I was doing, because it was just happening. And I thought, oh, hang on a minute. And then I saw similarities and kind of you put things together. But essentially, you're leaping from one state of consciousness to another. That could be quite far away, depending on your growth. And it feels almost like when you're approaching it, your energy is going out because you're going to leap. So it's almost like creativity can that's how I perceive it anyway. Creativity can come out, and a lot of movement, a lot of energy going out. And the moment you leap, instantly, all energy is coming back in. So you almost might feel like you lost your creative power. You lost interest. You lost, any kind of happy thoughts, and you're just sitting in this void. And that happens because all of a sudden you're no longer who you were 5 minutes ago. And it's almost like a screen changes, and everything on the outside appears the same, but actually on the inside, it feels completely different. And the important thing that I want to add in here, that is an integral part of a quantum leap that people sometimes don't mention, is the integration post quantum leap. Because after the leap happens, you kind of enter a no man's land where your body hasn't actually quite caught up with your leap. So your mind is somewhere else entirely to your body, and it just takes a little bit of time for it to actually overlap again. And then you can't always carry on like nothing happened. So the leap becomes in consciousness first before you see anything on the outside reflecting your leap.
So powerful. And what is another personal example? I know you already gave us one because you were questioning everything about your reality during your, probably the the beginning part of your awakening journey. I'm just assuming. But what's another example of a time that you quantum leaped? What did that actually look like?
So I've just very recently come out of another quantum leap, and it was quite funny. Well, it's funny now. It wasn't very funny then because it was quite painful going through that one. They were 2 weeks apart, actually. I had one, and then I had 2 weeks of sort of a lull and almost getting back to normal, and another one came. And what happened to me was that a lot of old patterns came back. So my husband went on a stag do with his friends, and they went to Poland. And I already felt a bit of a stir, and I wasn't quite sure what was going on. And the moment he left, I realized that all the old beliefs, all the old patterns from my previous relationship, which ended 11 years ago, and also my abandonment, because I've never met my father from when I was a child, was still very much alive, even though I worked on it for years and years and years. And then there was 12 different things that came up in that weekend. And I literally wrote them all down because I couldn't quite believe how many things are coming to surface to be released, because when they're repeating, they want to be released. So that was sort of my most recent quantum leap, where I had to really work through the old things, because I thought to myself, when it hurt the most, I thought, do I want to do this again? Because it's coming up to be released. So I have a choice of ignoring it and burying it again, or I have a choice and then having to relive this again. Or if I'm already in pain, I might as well just finish, and I might as well just sort it and resolve it. And the change was within 2 days. Within 2 days, it was almost like I could see the doors closing on that, and it's amazing. So it's been 30 years plus in the making to actually see that door close now. It's amazing, and I'm now noticing. Actually, now I just realized this 3 days later, I'm noticing actually more support from older male members of the family, because I actually resolved the abandonment issue and the kind of resistance I had to authority, if you like, especially particularly in older men.
Yeah. And it also sounds like you collapsed a timeline or a couple of timelines. Tell us, what does that mean? What does collapse a timeline mean?
To me, it means that you just basically shortening the time it takes you to get from A to B, or from where you are to where you want to be. And it's just compressing it. And when you quantum leap, you inevitably, it collapses time, because you're missing parts out. And I know some obviously in human design, some profiles jump, if you have the manifesting generators, they kind of jump much easier than others, and so on and so forth. But sometimes we unconsciously leap, and then things start happening really fast, and that's kind of where the collapse in time sits.
And then you had something that said collapsing timelines requires embodiment. What does that mean?
So there is two ways of knowing things. So there is a way when you logically know things. You read something, you understand, you kind of digest it in your mind and think, yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's logical. I can stand behind this. And there's another level of knowledge, and I like to call it like a cellular knowledge, when you so deeply understand what you're living or what you're learning, that it's in your body, so you're living it. So you don't have to think, oh, I have to now, I see this negative situation, and oh, okay, so what do I have to do? Oh, okay, I have to think positively about this person because they're going through their own experience. Where when you embody something, you no longer think about it, you just are. So when this situation happens and you see someone having a moment, you don't take it seriously, not seriously, you don't take it personally. You look at them and instantly okay, they're having an experience, or how can I help you? Or is this even about me? Or is there anything to do here for me? Rather than having to remember what it is. And that's the thing. And you can't really, I mean, you can quantum leap without knowing, absolutely. But I find that it takes a lot of understanding of yourself and the deep work in order to enable that. And the more you can integrate or the changes, the quicker you can quantum leap, integrate again, you can quantum leap again. So you can actually move quite fast throughout your life and collapse the timelines. But you have to allow the time where these things happen. You understand they happened, but then they need to almost go into your heart, and you live them as your own.
So beautiful. What is the difference between manifesting from the 3D world versus the quantum field?
So people think sometimes that what you see in front of you, that's what it is. But I like to explain it as, if you go to the cinema, so if you imagine, okay, I'm just got the tickets, I'm going to the cinema, and you sit in the comfortable chair, the film starts playing. And what you see on the screen, you're not able to edit that film anymore. That film has been recorded before, and now you're watching it. So any changes cannot be made anymore. So that is literally our 3D. The things you thought, the things you did, the seeds you planted in the past are now playing in your 3D reality. So if you have things in your 3D reality that are undesirable, that you think, actually, I don't want to live like this, I don't like what I'm seeing in this 3D reality, your job is not to now go and try to mold the 3D, to shout at your kids to behave. I mean, we have all been there, but it's not like you now have to try to really mold this moment in time, because this is just a film that's playing on the screen. It's like scratching at the screen going, can I change this? I don't like this scene that's playing out now. Where creating from the 5D, from the quantum field, is actually creating from your imagination. So your imagination is the one that creates the 5D, because if you can see it in your mind, if you can believe it, you can have it, you can have it. And it will then only take time, however long, to show you in 3D that it's actually happening. But there is obviously a process to this, because then you've obviously got to detach from the outcome, and there is a few steps that you need to take. But in the end, you'll see then your desired reality right in front of you. But it's only possible if you create from your mind rather than from what's in front of you.
And what are some other examples of transformation that we can create when we're working in the quantum field?
Oh, anything. Anything is possible. I'll give you I'll give you a good one actually. I I sold my horse like last year, and I wanted a new horse because I thought I'm just like a person that has to have a horse. That's like my lifelong dream, and that's just what I love. And it's one of those things where I manifested my horse, I manifested my house, I manifested purchasing my horse on my own terms, I manifested my husband. So it's anything is possible. I manifested jobs. I created whatever you want, cars, whatever you want to imagine. Clients, money, gifts, or like money coming from people that you would never imagine it would come from. And they are giving us money, financial contributions. And it's to the point where even my husband was looking at me thinking, that's impossible. Yet it was happening.
Is there a practice? Is there a simple practice that you can share with us about how to even start working with the quantum field and manifesting through there as opposed to manifesting through the 3D?
I think it's just in 3D, we'll have, oh, I would like this. And that's it. I'd like this. And then you may or may not write it down, but you think to yourself, I'd like this. But it's the feeling behind it. Can you get yourself on board? Let's say I want to move into a new house. And can I get myself to feeling like I'm already in that house? Can I see that house? Can I see myself in a mind's eye that I'm sitting at the kitchen island drinking a cup of coffee, or I'm watching my kids playing in the garden? So that's probably the first best step, where you actually bring the feeling of that manifestation that you want into your life right now. And particularly, I mean, Neville Goddard talked about it, particularly when you wake up in the morning and when you go to sleep in the evening, because your brain is sort of the most adaptable then to what you want. And you can, didn't they say that it's like your logical brain kind of switches off a little bit and your subconscious is listening? So that's the moment where you literally fall asleep in your desire. So the more senses you can employ, the better, because that's basically then exactly collapse in time. Because if you already believe you have it, then everything on the outside has to rearrange to meet that. There's no other way. That's literally physics. If you are so in it and believe it so strongly, then there is no other way. It has to collapse onto your timeline, and you have to have it. That is just how it is.
Yes, and I have a personal success story with that, especially with Neville Goddard. I think he has a practice somewhere. I don't know which lecture it was in. I can't really recall. But I did this consistently, probably for 30 days, or at least I tracked it for 30 days. And before bed, when I was going into that theta state, right? I was out of the alpha, I was out of the busy beta brain state. I was laying down. I had already did my meditation. I was aware, my conscious mind was still on, but I would repeat, I am doing, or I have this thing already, or I am already this person, or I am already doing this. And I would just pick one for that particular night, say it over and over again. And then within the 30 days, I was that person doing blank, blank, blank. Like, for example, just to make this more tangible for people, I don't think I did this with the podcast, but let's just say, you know, if I would have wanted to become a podcaster, I would say, I am a podcaster. I have over 100 episodes. I have amazing guests coming on my show. I love what I do. I talk about all the things that I love, blah, blah, blah. So that would be an example. Again, I don't think I did that with the podcast, but I did that with some other things that I was calibrating to. But that is a really good example. And then plus Neville Goddard, I mean, his stuff is so, it was ahead of its time back then, and even now it's just like, whoa. So Neville Goddard is a really good, for anyone kind of wanting to dive more into this, of course connect with Monika, but if you're looking for material, Neville Goddard is a great resource. Are there any other thought leaders or resources around the quantum field?
I really like Joe Dispenza. He's really good. He's really, really good. I mean, there is so much out there. There really is so much out there. And I mean, if you were only just immerse yourself in Neville Goddard, because I find some people, he's a little bit too advanced for them. And I think at some point, you kind of, it goes over some people's heads because there's so much of it. So it's trying to take small parts. And like you said, I mean, how amazing. You know, you chose that one thing and you lived in that and you fall asleep in that. But I think sometimes we apply too many things and I want more money. I want a house. I want to be slim and I want a cat, for example. And then you've got all those four things. And I'm like, okay, so I want all these four things. I'm going to get myself to do all these four things. And you end up having none because you're too scattered. So it's just that's just choosing the one. But yeah, Joe Dispenza is really good. I think he had one book, Break with the Habit of Being Yourself. That's really good.
That's a good book.
So yeah, there's lots. There's so much out there. I mean, on my Audible, I have like about 300 books, and it's just there is so much of it. But those two are probably would be my recent ones. But also there was one, and I cannot remember the author, but there was The Power of Letting Go, and that's a great book to start because sometimes people are blocked in creating the new thing because of the things that they're sitting on the sort of under the surface that are stopping them, you know, the old beliefs, the old limitations are stopping them from actually taking that leap. Or if they have it, they get it and they lose it because they are not able to hold it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was going to be my next question, is focusing and bringing awareness around the limiting beliefs. And that book, I'll say this before I go into that. That book, Letting Go, or The Power of Letting Go, it is really good, but just if you're going to do it, make a commitment because it is a hefty book and you want to follow through. Really good. And I don't think I ever finished it, but I did get my medicine that I needed from it. Okay. So, limiting beliefs. What is one practice or habit that we can incorporate into our lives, maybe on a weekly basis, where we can start to kind of gradually work through that? And I'll just preface this and say, in that book that we just mentioned about, from Joe Dispenza, he does have a practice where I think you write like all of your contracting beliefs on one side of a paper, you draw a line, and then you reframe all of them, right? So you would just reframe the exact opposite of what the challenging belief is. So that's in that book, Breaking the Habit of Being You. And then do you have any other ideas for that?
For me, what works is just sitting quietly and just understanding, is there a pattern? Is there a situation that keeps repeating itself? Because oftentimes there is one belief that will show itself throughout your life in different areas. It will, on the surface, it will be like a symptom and it will look differently. But when you actually look inside, it's the same belief. So I'll give you a great example of that. Is I had it was always instilled in me and many of the people, I'm sure, is that hard work is something that you should be proud of. And life is hard. And if you don't work hard, you're not worth anything. And you know, only the hard workers, you would put on your CV when you were trying to find a job, hard working, you know, just sticking to the plan. And you just think, oh my goodness. So we carry this with us. And I had that. I still had that. And it was presented in my life in actually different areas. It was with losing weight. It was with money. it was with work, it was in my relationship. And it all looked a little bit different, with the weight, or maybe I can't maintain my weight. So that's hard. In my relationship, oh, we had this disagreement. Well, that must be hard. Or in my relationship with my children, oh, my child is misbehaving. That's hard. And yes, it looked all on the surface differently, but actually it all came from one core belief. So if someone was to sit down and actually just think, okay, if it happens once, could be a coincidence. If it happens twice, there is a pattern. If it happens 3 times, there's definitely something there. So I would concentrate and hone in on what's readily available.
Well, thank you for that. This conversation has been so potent, so powerful. If this conversation has been resonating with you, please connect with Monika. We have all of her links here in the description box. And her website is quantumbff.com. And then we have her Instagram, we have her YouTube link, and we have her Facebook link here. And Monika, what is one powerful way that people can work with you?
I'm offering at the moment 20 minutes completely free, and it's like a catalyst session. So it's basically you come to me and I will, in those 15-20 minutes, I will show you at least one of your beliefs that are running under the surface, and it's completely non-committal. I just want to show you what can be done to have like the wildly obsessed life, with life that you can be so obsessed with that you wake up in the morning and go, wow, this is something that I want to do.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you so much for offering your work into the collective. And as we're wrapping up, you already dropped some books in Neville Goddard and Joe Dispenza. But if you have another book recommendation or a really powerful quote that you want to share with us, please do.
I'm so grateful to be here, but the one thing I would say is if you want it, you can have it. And that is what I live by. If you want it, if you really want something and it's in your heart, it's been given to you for a reason. So it's there for a reason and you can have it, but will you allow yourself to have it?
What a powerful thought to leave us with. Well, Monika, thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your wisdom. It's been such an honor to have you on the show today.
Thank you so, so much for having me. Thank you. It's been absolutely brilliant. And you're such a wonderful host. I'm so,
Oh,
so privileged. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your kind words. And if this episode resonated with you today, please just pick one friend today. Just pick one friend to send this episode to. I'm sure you have someone, coworker, family member, neighbor. They want to know more about manifestation. They want to know more about the quantum field. They want to know how to get over their limiting beliefs. So I think you will be doing them a favor if you share this content with them. So be sure to do that. And again, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Namaste, everyone. Have a great day.